Hi, this is Frid from The Joy of Syntax and English in Color. And I am a very lucky girl today because I have the great honor and privilege to be talking to Jacqui Howe. Jacqui, you can see her there on her beautiful land with her beautiful people, horse people in the background. And I don't actually want to tell you who she is because I always prefer that people say who they are and what they're about because they know that so much better. So Jacqui, hi, thank you for being here.
Hi Frid, thank you for spending the time to interview me and welcome to our land here and the horses.
Oh, thank you. And I hope to be seeing it in person. That's my new dream now. So I would love for you to share with us where you are and what you're all about because you're doing such exciting things.
Great. Okay, so we have 65 acres in West Sussex, which is sort of between London and Brighton in the UK. And we have a sanctuary here where we share mindfulness with people and help them to really enjoy being out in nature and meeting our herd. So see some of them in the background here. We've got a herd of 11 and they're a forever herd, which means that they are here as living as naturally as possible, and we're not rehoming them. They're not just sort of on livery at whim of somebody who wants to just move them. So they're all here. They're all rescued horses and ponies and donkeys who are here. They've had past trauma. They've all had their stories, all had a lot of abuse, but we've really let that go. And my philosophy is to kind of not hold on to the stories for us or for the herd, so living in a really peaceful way, and yeah, they all really embrace that, which is lovely, and they're all super peaceful, and yeah, I just love sharing that with people so that it gives them a bit of inspiration to maybe look after their own horses in their family and their care in the same. So that's sort of in a nutshell what I'm about.
You know what you said, this is so interesting. You said you want to let go of their story, the past story, because it helps them to let go. And I would love for you to talk about that a little bit because I think that's really interesting. Oh, and you're breaking up a little bit.
Yeah.
But now it's okay, it seems. Yeah.
Okay. I'll try and stay still. So I'm a great believer in what we talk about. It brings up an energy, and when we're with another being, that other being can pick up on that feeling as well. And the horses are really susceptible to our feelings and our energy. So it means that it's really easy to communicate with them, as it is with all animals, because they don't use language to communicate, they use feelings. So if we can get into a really present moment still space, and literally it's where the expression be on somebody's wavelength comes, just really be on their wavelength, get into a nice still space, so that that they can pick up on our feelings better, and really verbalizing that that thought that we've got in our head. They can pick up on the feeling, and the more we verbalize stuff, the more that feeling comes up for us, so we can be really focused on what we're saying, rather than just thinking it. And if we're thinking it, we might have all sorts of other thoughts going on in our head. So bringing up a thought and talking about it, they can really pick up on. So I try very hard not to talk about their particular stories or their past in front of them, because that's bringing up that feeling, and we can literally re-experience something. Our bodies can re-experience that like we're actually going through that sort of trauma all over again. So yeah, I'm a big believer in it's not a great thing to talk about that. And I'm a believer in the idea that if we tell a story about our past in exactly the same way, that we can kind of revisit that. And so just to trying to embrace the concept of being in the present moment and enjoying what's around us. So for example, at the moment I've got the sun on my face here, my body. It's an amazing day for not even May yet.
Yeah.
End of April, we got a sunny day, the birds are singing, and I can feel the ground underneath my feet. And I'm just really, really in the moment. I can hear the horses eating grass and just really enjoying being in that moment and talking to you, rather than thinking about all sorts of stuff that might have gone on in my day beforehand. So yeah, that's sort of it, really.
That's
does that answer your question?
yes, and it makes great sense. And I think we can all, well, certainly I can learn from that, because I come from a family where old stories were rehearsed time and time again. And I think that's what keeps you stuck. And I think it's, to me now, it's not surprising anymore that it works for animals as well. But, you know, I'm a language person, and the funny thing is that the more I study language, the more I meet people that go into the nonverbal, and the more I find how important that is. But it is interesting to see this energy. You know, somehow the words do have energy, but
They
that you
do,
obtain the energy without the words. And I'm not. I mean, I will never be done thinking about that, but. Yeah, thanks to you, I'm working now on a different kind of communication with my dog.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Yeah, because we had a chat about that a few days ago. You were sort of having thoughts about wanting to communicate with him with some eardrops or something. How's that going?
Well, I did it twice, and the 2 times he said no, he didn't want the drops. And I mean, I don't want to talk about Rudolph today, even though I love him to bits, but today is your day. But let me tell you one thing. My son thought it was very strange that I took his no. And he said, why, you know, he's just afraid. Why do you accept his no? And I said, well, I was talking to this lovely lady, and she taught me how to practice this kind of getting into the space with him. And he said, did you tell her that he eats tissue? And so he thought that was proof that he didn't know what was best for him. And so I shouldn't ask him whether he wanted the drops or not.
Oh, bless. Or maybe there's something in the tissue he likes.
Well, you know, he uses the tissue as a sort of an attention utensil. You know, he knows that when he rips up tissue, then I'll rush and say, oh, no, you little handful, what would you like? And so it's his attention thing. Yeah. But anyway, we're digressing from what's more important.
Well, no, because it's interesting, because you've had that experience of, you know, that's one of the things that I do is teach animal communication. And on a very, you know, you had a little bit of an experience of that when we were chatting before, and I just kind of gave you a little bit of a snapshot of this is what I do, this is how I do it, and just trying to keep it really, really simple. So I don't go into a huge amount more detail than that with people when I'm teaching. You know, we'll then do practice and really experience that on a practical level, because I think we can get into our headspace with it and try and sort of analyze, oh, am I feeling this, am I thinking that, and you know, and is it for real, and doubting ourselves. So actually just kind of having a real basic idea. Sorry, I've got Ollie in the background barking.
That's okay.
Yeah,
that sounds good.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Just that's one of the things I do. And back to the fact that, you know, you were saying you're a language teacher and how much words are important. Words are incredibly important for us because we rely on language so much, and because we've let go of our intuitive connection so much, and we don't listen to that real subtle voice inside us. Actually, the power, we do rely on words, and words are so powerful, and they carry so much magic and alchemy if we get the right words. And they also can just put people off, and people can just make a decision on hearing a few words or the tone of our voice or whatever and go, oh, that person's not for me. So it's something that I've got really stuck in. And recently I've just started, we've got Thomas visiting us here.
Oh, how sweet. Right, we can't quite see him yet. Oh, there he is, but we can't see his face yet. Oh.
I'll crouch down, and I might lose you.
We'll try. So that's Thomas, but we can't see now. There, his ears are coming up. I must explain that you can't see yourself, right? So you only see.
That's right.
Yeah, so now we can see his eyes. And now there's his face. Oh, he has such a sweet face. So that's Thomas. How long has he been with you?
This is Thomas. He came in August last year.
Mm-hmm.
I've wanted donkeys all my life. Hey, boy. And we have the ideal setup for donkeys here now. So we have two donkeys. They arrive together, Thomas and Rodney. Little Rodney is usually not too far away from me when I'm outside, but can't find him at the moment. I'm no doubt he'll appear in a minute. He's just behind, but the sun's, I don't know if you can see him with the sun in the back, looking right at the sun.
I think I see the donkey. Yes,
anyway, so Thomas and Rodney arrived together last August, and they are, from the moment they arrived, from the moment they landed here, they just landed foot on the soil. They just picked up the peacefulness, let go of all of their past trauma and anxiety, of which there was lots, and just really got into the lovely peacefulness of the sanctuary here. So they are such joy. So they need lots of hard standing and shelter. They haven't got waterproof coats like horses have. Mm-hmm. And they need quite different things. So I've sort of put off having donkeys all of my life because I know that their needs were quite specific. Mm-hmm. But now we've got a really good environment for them. And yesterday as of yesterday, we have an even better environment because we've just put down a huge, great big sand pit area right in the middle of the yard. So we have a stable yard and a barn that they can come in and out of. They're completely free range, all these animals, so they can choose to come in and out. Mm-hmm. And they can lie in the middle of the yard in the sand pit rolling, and they've got that as a nice sandy area, which is perfect for donkeys because they've kind of evolved from being in a desert condition, so it's really good for their hooves and have that sandiness, and so they love it. They're rolling away in their sand pit, and yeah, that's nice. It's really
cool.
lovely.
There's so many things I want to ask you. I think we might have to do 2 or 3 chats. But let me tell you what I all find fascinating, and maybe you'll just pick what you want to talk about today. So okay. I would love to hear when you got the idea to get the sanctuary and exactly what you do. And I would like to hear about the yurt. Well, you say yurt and I say yurt. and then I would love to hear about when you had the idea to put mindfulness and horses and animals together, and when you realized that you could actually communicate with horses and animals. So and all of that. So and exactly what you do and how people can work with you. So all of these questions. So what should we tackle first?
All of these questions. The first one we got to tackle is we got to meet Rodney, because this is my gorgeous boy, Rodney.
Oh, he's adorable. Oh, he is so cute. Now now hang on. Move him over a little bit more. Yes. Oh, he's sweet.
You don't need to take a chunk of me. Little kisses without nibbles, please.
He still likes to nibble?
Well, he's quite young and he does like exploring things with his mouth. It's not a nibble, it's just a little Rodney, mouthing, but sometimes it can get a bit. It's more interesting if you've got scarves or something he can get a hold of, because he thinks that's much fun. So yeah. So in a sort of order of chronological order, the first thing that I got was my yurt, and I got that because I had an idea that I really wanted to live completely self-sufficiently. Mm-hmm. I'd been vegetarian all of my adult life. Hey Dougal. And then I got a little bit more aware of all of the abuse that went on with the dairy industry, of which I was just completely ignorant. So I went vegetarian from a young age because of animal welfare reasons. And then when we got some land about 20 years ago, I thought, I want to get a cow so I can have my own milk. This is like embarrassing to admit, but I'm sure that there were lots of people that are similar. I had no idea that the cow had to be kept pregnant in order to produce milk. It's like basic biology and basic stuff that we should be taught at school, but of course we're not taught that at school because it doesn't suit the popular social culture to kind of let people know. When I found that out, I was like, and then I've got to have calves, and then do we collect like calf after calf, and do we have to put her into calf year in, year out, and have the toll on her body of that? That doesn't sound so great. Maybe not. And then so that awareness then started, and I started looking into how cows were farmed and the whole dairy industry, and realized the extreme abuse that went on, which everybody can just look into themselves online, and there's lots of information out there, so I won't go into that. But it was totally shocking. So I then struggled with the thought of being vegan, because I thought it was going to be really hard, which actually when I suddenly decided, right, enough is enough, it was really easy. And it was like, why haven't I done this years ago? It was sort of really annoying, but anyway, I found it really easy. I just and so I think one of the big things, completely off. Well, it is all on topic, but one of the big things was cheese for me. And then I realized that the mother cows produced opiates in their milk to calm the baby calves. So the fact that I felt like, I can't give up cheese because I'm addicted to it, and I was reading all of this and I was like, wow, I actually am addicted to it. It's got opiates in it, and the opiates are super concentrated in the cheese, and that's why I am actually seriously craving this stuff. So once I realized that, I was like, okay, this is actually a serious addiction. It's not my body saying you need this as a sort of form of protein. So it then was really easy. I was like, okay, I can get my mind around this, and So I really struggled, and I think a lot of people do this when they first sort of, go vegan and get this awareness of how much harm we as humans inflict on other beings, that it's really hard to forgive yourself and love yourself and be compassionate to other human beings. So I just wanted to get off of the planet, really, get off of the world, step out of the world, and sort of just be find somewhere that I could just not be part of all of that, and have a little space of my own, and try and inflict, be sort of no impact human, or as least impact human as possible. So I found myself at a yurt which somebody had created really beautifully and ethically, with a real awareness of the trees that they'd used, which is, so the yurt, if for people that don't know, it's a Mongolian dwelling, and it's made of wood and then canvas, and it's a beautiful, huge, great round structure. Mine's 18-foot round, and it's beautiful. And I've got a wood burner in it, and I've got a sofa bed, and just lots of table and chairs, and it's a lovely space, really nice space. So I've got a singing bowl, and all sorts of nice stuff. So I was going to live self-sufficiently. I was going to grow my own vegetables. I was going to do all of this stuff, and my children were still at home, and so I was renting a little cottage for them to live in, and I had the yurt in the garden, and it was a process. I really thought I was sort of moving more towards kind of living self-sufficiently, and it was a real process of actually kind of learning how to cope with living as part of the world, and actually by not stepping out of the world, what I could give in a positive way, without being a rah-rah activist, which totally isn't me. I just don't feel comfortable in that kind of confrontational role, but how I can hold a peaceful space, and how I can carry on doing the healing work that I was doing. So I've been working as a Hawaiian healing therapist for years.
Oh wow, cool.
So I could carry on doing that work, and carry on doing Reiki and connecting with animals, which I've always really loved. So I still have my yurt, but it's in the woods here, and it's part of our retreats. We go and spend time in the yurts to start with, and I go and just enjoy being in the yurt in the woods to get away from from everything. And yeah, it's a lovely space. So that's the story of the yurt.
Yeah. And the yurt probably gave you the idea then to just expand it to a sanctuary.
Yeah, so I had Missy here, who is just in the background here. She is an ex-racehorse. She was my first girl that came to live with me, and that was 6 years ago. And she and I have gone on this massive journey together. Me questioning, not realizing that I didn't want to ride horses anymore, and realizing that I didn't want to. Can you hear me? It's getting a little bit breezy.
I can hear you fine. Yeah.
Realizing that I didn't want to even be involved in any kind of training or positive reinforcement or any kind of control at all, and just really questioning whether that was possible, because we're brought up with this concept that if we have animals in our lives, they have to do as we say.
Yes.
And if they don't do that, then they'll be out of control, and they will be they'll dominate us.
Yes.
So we have to dominate them otherwise, and that's in different degrees. So there are the real dominators, like the horse whisperer and the dog whisperer, who it's kind of like subtle manipulation. But if you turn off the sound on those programs and watch what they're actually doing, there's a lot of abuse and domination and fear. It's all about kind of like putting the animal into a fit, so they'll do what you want because they want to keep themselves safe. But there's all sorts of degrees of that, to very sort of subtle manipulation, with all sorts of ways of training, which I just wanted to kind of let go of all of that and just really live with the question, with Missy, of if I don't, and this was an ex-race horse that, having said I'm not twirling them, I need to walking away from her, hoping that she's not going to pick up on this. I need to just put you in the picture here. This was a horse that was a fiery thoroughbred who was literally, if you handled her at all and put a head collar on her at all, she would be up on her back legs, rearing. So working with the concept that I wanted her to build trust with me, and I didn't want to tell her to do anything. I wanted to ask her everything. And we've got there. We have totally got there. If I want her to have her teeth rasped or her feet trimmed, I will talk to her and say, okay, Mark's coming, or Simon's coming, or whoever it is who's coming. And everybody who I have on this place, I totally trust to hold a really peaceful space and connect with them. And she'll come over to the yard, or sometimes she chooses to just I'll stay in the field and they can come to me, but it's always really peaceful. They usually have their treatments done at Liberty. The exception to that is the new ones that come who've had a bit of maybe past experience that's not been great, so it's just letting them connect with those people in a really lovely peaceful way, with a head collar on sometimes, but with a choice that they can walk away. And it's really lovely. So yes, so she's been sort of my real catalyst for this journey. And then once I realized that I could have this connection, and learning more and more about animal communication through reading and doing little workshops and talking to people who did this work, just learning from lots of different people of their ideas and how they went about it, and then practice and putting it into sort of practical kind of realizing how much I could really sorry, I'm talking too much.
I have a drink of water here, but it doesn't help you.
I know, yeah. Realizing how much I could really, change the situation between me and her and have an amazing relationship. I then really wanted to share that with other horses and other people. So one of the trainings that I did, workshops that I did, it was a sort of couple of years of training and case studies and stuff. and it was basically sharing mindfulness with animals and getting into a very, very still space with them, and helping them to release their past trauma and their past abuse, and building a really beautiful, trusting relationship. And that then kind of catapulted my relationship with Missy, you know, just enormously, just holding that space. So I then started doing consultations with people, and loved doing consultations as one-to-ones with people in their own homes with their cats and dogs. And I started doing, because I've always really loved horses, I started doing consultations with horses and had massive, huge success with helping all sorts of horses. To start with, when I started doing this, people were sort of drawn to me who were doing the sort of last chance saloon. Well, we'll give it a go because, you know, we've got nothing else to lose. Animals about to be put to sleep because they're so dangerous, or they're so aggressive or reactive or whatever, or you know. And it was really working so amazingly. I was just having so many lovely, you know, sort of life-changing kind of experiences with different animals, and really helping them and their humans. And I realized that actually the horses that I was helping the humans regain trust with were then being put back into being used again.
Oh God, yeah.
That was really hard, you know. And even if it was just to be, you know, I say just to be, I mean, in my mind it's like, but you know, what a lot of people think is, you know, it's okay to just go for a happy hacker, you know, or they're just going up for a plod around the back. But it's basically putting a bit of metal in their mouth, and it's strapping another bit of dead animal onto their body, and it's sitting on them and dominating them, and it just doesn't resonate with me at all.
And it hurts them. It hurts them. I mean, yeah, if you watch the this film by Stormy May, The Path of the Horse, I mean, she explains how it hurts them, you know.
Exactly.
I didn't know that. I rode a few years ago, and I was appalled to hear that I had hurt the horses that I was on.
And I've ridden all my life, so I totally get where people come from when they're kind of like, oh, but we have this lovely connection, because you do have a connection, and you can actually think something and think, oh, I just want to have a plod around the block, and the horse will plod around the block. Oh, I want to go for a fiery gallop, and the horse will pick up on that. Or I used to do dressage and think, okay, I'm going to trot across the diagonal of this school and do a, you know, fancy this, that, and the other extended, and the horse would pick up. I had a really, what I thought was like this amazing connected relationship with my horse, and he would totally pick up on what I felt, and he would do it without me even giving him any aids, as far as I was aware. I was just like, we were, as far as I felt then, completely in sync. This relationship where we can get into a very mindful, still relationship. I'm totally on the ground with them, standing next to them. They start going to sleep, they start lying down with you, they start just being completely in the moment. I can hold a space where the whole herd will start getting so peaceful that they'll all lie down with me. And normally with a herd, there's always one of the herd member who's on lookout. They're preyed on animals, so they're always very aware of what's going on around them. So the whole herd might sleep, but there's always one that is on lookout. And then they started trusting me to be lookout. And that was such a privilege, you know, to actually, they all went flat out and heads on the ground and completely out of it. And that, there's nothing like that. That doesn't compare with doing your passage across the indoor school with some fancy dressage shit, you know. It's like, excuse my language, but you know, it's like actually the soul connection there. When you're trusted to that level, and then when they get so deeply relaxed that they start limbs twitching, you know, maybe, you know, start mouthing like they're babies, and going through some past stuff, and waking up relating to the herd in a completely different way, and you can tell that they've let go of stuff, you know. That is an incredible privilege for a human to be able to do, and it's not something that I'm unique in doing. I love sharing this with people. So I was doing the one-to-one consultations, helping people to have this relationship. They were using it to then, you know, do you know, whatever they wanted to do, get back into, you know, the horse was nervous, and they let go of the nervousness so they could get back to doing their carriage driving or their riding or their whatever they wanted to do, or loading the horse onto a horse box so they could take them to a show, or, you know. So I decided I couldn't cope with helping people in a way anymore. But I really wanted to work with horses. So my idea was then to set up a sanctuary where I was not only teaching people mindfulness and to helping them be, you know, in a nice, happy, healed place, but also helping horses to have sanctuary here as on a very small scale, because there's a limit to how many we can take here, but also to have inviting people in and setting up this as a model for people to sort of see that actually horses can be incredibly peaceful living this way, and it's a really lovely way to be with them. So yeah.
Wow. And did you still ride Missy at the very beginning of your relationship?
No, I've never ridden her. So I decided, she's been with me for 5 or 6 years. I decided about 15 years ago that I didn't want to ride anymore. And at that moment, I decided that I actually didn't want to have horses in my life at all, because I was like, I don't know where the line is for them. And I knew that they would put up with all sorts of, I'd seen horses go through a massive amount of real full-on abuse and stuff with different show jumping and dressage yards that I'd been part of, and I'd been part of the racing industry doing my Ho'oponopono Hawaiian forgiveness. Please forgive me. I'm sorry. I love you. And yes, I'm, you know, not proud to be a part of that, but it did open my eyes, and I can actually very, you know, very hand on heart, you know, say when people sort of say, but you don't know about, you know, this trainer looks after this horse in a different way and they're amazing. It's like, actually, I do know, because I was part of that world. So I guess, you know, that was maybe why I went on that journey. But yeah, so having seen all of that, I knew that horses would, to make themselves safe, put up with all sorts of stuff that humans did to them. And although they're massive, powerful animals, they will go into shutdown mode and generally will go along with what humans ask of them. So I just really needed to know where the line was, what they would actually not just willingly accept, but really want as part of a relationship with humans. And I thought, until I'm really clear about that, I'm certainly not going to ride again, and I don't really want horses in my life again. And then, yeah, it was a bit of a process. Missy came along into my life as she was going to be put to sleep, and I you know, I stepped in and we went on this journey together. And if I hadn't had that practical day-to-day experience, I certainly wouldn't have sort of, you know, been where I am now. So I'm hugely grateful for that. But yeah. So
wow, that sounds awesome. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. So yeah, it was a huge leap of faith then. We decided that we were living in a tiny little place, and I was renting a field for the horses, and it was a 10-acre field in a beautiful setting with amazing view and everything, but it was basically a 10-acre field, and it was a square field. And I suddenly woke up one day and saw it through their eyes, and I went, if I'm going to keep horses in domestication, I need to give them somewhere like our local forest is the Ashdown Forest, where, do you know Winnie the Pooh stories?
Yes.
It's where Winnie the Pooh stories were written. So a beautiful forest. I was like, I need to give them the Ashdown Forest or somewhere. So we started looking. David found this place. It's just coming up for rent online, and we came and looked out the windows, and it literally, I mean, I don't know if you can see from the background, but, you know, we came and looked at it. There were deer grazing, bracken everywhere. It was like, I just looked out the window. I was like, it is the Ashdown Forest. It's amazing. It's a house, right, you know, in this amazing setting. So, and they've got so much enrichment. They can go into the woods. They've got little tracks through the woods that they can go and explore. They've got lots of beautiful trees. We got copper beeches and oaks and this stunning tree. I don't know if you can see them all.
Yeah, I can see it. It's stunning. Yes. It's
they're all they've got their hay out there, so they've all been grazing the spring grass that's coming through. They've all decided to go over there and eat their hay now, which is lovely.
mm-hmm.
So they've got their hay under the tree, and then they've got the barn and the stables over there, and they can. So basically, they've just got free range of the whole area. They can just choose, and they'll take off, you know, and go and have a good gallop from one end to the other and through the woods and have a good hoonie around, or they spend a lot of time sleeping and just mutual grooming, and so.
Oh, it's like a dream.
It is. We're very blessed.
And so you offer retreats right there, so people can come and they can learn mindfulness from you and can get a massage and they can just hang out.
Yeah, indeed.
Oh, indeed. Wow. And it's all on your website then?
I do them on a one-to-one basis. The most I do is 2 people at a time. Mm-hmm. And that is because I really like to make sure that the horses are completely happy with, you know, that connection and stuff, and just you know, any more than that, and it's difficult to make sure that everybody's safe, and also the horses are, you know, totally regarded. So that for me, they are my priority, that they are completely regarded. So my website is just JacquiHowe.com.
Yeah, I'll put it in the description box, and then people.
Sorry, is that what you were saying? Sorry, you said something about my website, so I was like, and all of the info's on all of that, all about the retreats and stuff. So yeah,
cool. Well, that sounds like a dream. Wow, and then people can and then they can get food and everything. So they're just taken care of.
Yeah, indeed. So we're vegan sanctuary. So we ask people not to bring any animal products on, so they can bring lunch with them if they want to, or I can provide lunch for them. And we've got a 3-day retreat on this week. So it's our first 3-day retreat this year. I've been busy painting the yard, and I've got a new sign up, and it's all very posh, and got this sand pit in the middle.
I saw the video. It looks
it's nice. So put a lot of effort into that. So I'm excited. We got a lovely couple coming for 3 days, and they're going to be staying. We're inviting them to stay in the house with us as house guests. If we have room, then I'm really happy for people to do that for a small donation or stay in the yurt. But otherwise, there's B&Bs locally and stuff. So it's whatever works for people and for us at the time. So
Oh, cool. And you're going to start a YouTube channel, so people can now subscribe to your channel, right?
I am.
Yes. So exciting. Yeah. And are you going to introduce us to the herd, maybe one by one, and do like interviews with the horses?
Yes, I am. I think that would be really nice to just to do that. To spend some time with one at a time, and we are my next sort of step with growing the sanctuary. Now I spent a lot of time. There was a lot that needed doing to the land here to make it safe and lovely for the horses and the yard and everything. So now I've got the setup. We've only been here 18 months. It's been a lot of hard work to get the woods and everything. But now we've got that all sorted. I want to spend some energy into getting sponsors for our herd. So 5 of the herd are my responsibility. 6 of them have got human guardians that are sponsoring them to be here forever. So 5 of them, the 2 donkeys and Missy, blue little grey pony who's right under the tree there. I don't know if you can see her.
Yeah, a little bit.
Thor, who is a beautiful, great big black horse. They are my responsibility, or the sanctuary's responsibility. So I'm looking for to grow the sanctuary with sort of more financial support, with getting sponsors for them, and really I'm very driven to do everything in a real heart-centered way, so not looking at kind of like making money in a conventional way, of just really having a community of people part of the sanctuary who can come and volunteer if they like, or come on retreats, or just come and visit and have a picnic. Or so I'm just trying to do it in a community sort of donation way.
And still you guys need to eat, the horses need to eat, so
exactly. Making sure that they're well looked after.
Yeah, maybe you can open a Patreon page also, or something like that.
I'm thinking about that as well. Yeah, all of
Mm-hmm.
these things. Yeah,
Yeah,
lots of
and then
things
you'll
to
tell us
do.
about it on YouTube. So
Yeah,
everybody
definitely.
subscribe
Yeah.
to your channel.
You. Oh,
Yes,
that's good.
lovely. Yeah, should we call it a day for today and then
That's
meet again?
great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
sounds
thank
great.
you so much. I loved hearing all that you had to say, and I would
Oh,
love to talk again. Thank you so much. And I will put
brilliant.
all the information in the description box so people can come.
Fab, fab.
Yes.
Thank you, Frid. Thanks for your time. It's really lovely chatting with you, and I'm glad it was such a lovely day and got to see some of the herd mooching about as well.
Yes, that's lovely. And so please give a kiss to Rodney and Tom Tom.
I will do. I will do.
Thank you very much.
Of love. Bye.
Bye-bye.